So I'm pretty good at making mechs, and I have gotten a decent bit of comments on how on my videos about flamethrowers about how I should make a flaming skull, and that I should make a flaming whip. And those two things combined with the fact that my character is based on Ghostrider, I feel like I should make a Ghostrider mech today. And I thought, you know what? I've also made a few other Ghostrider things, and I did think about making a mech that can ride a bike, but that seems really complicated for now, and I don't have the bike, so that might be a different video kind of thing, and a not right now kind of thing. But I have made quite a few Ghostrider things, and it's a cool character. This is actually a really fun bike. Like, I forgot how fun this bike was, but I can drift it around this really cleanly, and like it's just an overall fun experience. And then also because it has thrusters in it, so that it can go like basically infinite speed because it's zero dragged. Um, it can fly. It can just fly. I can turn around. I can go in any direction. I can nose down and nose up. So this is cool. Which also means that it can drive up walls. Walls. I don't know why I said that weird. Anyways, on to the build. I think that we should start out with a seat so we can know where to put it. And then, I'm gonna pull up an image real quick. Ghostrider. I accidentally typed it in full caps because, well, reasons, but okay. So I have an image, and there are basically, like, boots. I don't know if I should start at the feet. You know what, I think I'm gonna start at the jacket, because it has some interesting, like, folds and stuff that I would want to replicate first. And I've built out a little shape, but I think that that's pretty good for that. And then it's kind of just a duplicate on the other side, but it's kind of overlayered like that. And then these would both be black. Yeah. And then it would be flames here, and then going up to the head. Except, you know what? This would make a really big mech, and I don't think that I can reasonably do that with complexity if I'm also trying to make a whip and, like, a flame head. And you know what? We're just gonna delete the seat for now and work it in later. Okay, so now we need some kind of shoulder setup. And just, like, general torso. So I think I'm gonna go block, block, block. No, I think I'm gonna switch to this there. And then we have that, and we can continue out this part a little bit more, but that's just gonna be the general chest. And you know what, we can actually move that in by a block. I don't think that's too bad. Duplicate this over to here. That works. And then I can pad this out with that. And then I really just want to pad out the rest of this to be the same on both sides. And then, yep, that works out for that. We're going to color these flame orange, make it glow, so that you kind of get the flame effect. And then, we're actually going to delete that, and then make that into 2 blocks, because I don't want the bottom part to be flame orange. I'm going to make that black. So we have this, and then if I go up here, now this can be flame orange. Yeah, okay. And then just a little trick here, I'm gonna go to gadgets and grab this light, because it is a good shape, it is a single block, and then when I need to, I can have it open up, and I can color the secondary color orange, and then make it not the weird this texture. And then inside of there, here, I'm just gonna add a temporary seat to show. Motorcycle seat. And then set this to shift. Then we can toggle shift, and it'll turn on, and it'll be cool. So I've added a little bit more to the back, like I added these panels and stuff, and then I made the seat clip in, and then it did not at all save that it's going to clip in. So that's going to... I hate how Trailmakers doesn't save things sometimes. The start position at 0 does not do it. It's just is not. Okay, that's better. That's much better. I did move that one more further down. I deleted a 2x2x1 and replaced it with a 1x2. And now we can go like that. And that's honestly not going to be that bad. I obviously can't roll onto my back, because that would just break it if I'm in the seat. But it does mean that we can get to work on some of the shoulder and, like, arm scenario here. Although first, I kind of want to fill out the torso a little more. So we're going to do that by, that needs to be 2 pieces. One like that, and then one just a normal black piece there. And then we can extend the shoulders out a bit. And honestly, I think that once we're at this point, because I don't want the shoulders to be, like, way, like, wider than they need to be, I think I'm just going to start getting into some of the mechanics of the arm. Which does mean putting this here, and here. I can duplicate things, I promise. And then figuring out that this is lopsided, and that... Okay, I figured out why. And that these two aren't going to connect anyway. So we're just going to delete those. And then add a servo to here. And then in typical Ghostrider fashion, now we have to go to structure, scroll down a bit. No, it's not in structure, it's in streamlining, because I want these little cones here. Sure, we can connect that with something. Right here. And then duplicate this over to this side. Slide it over, and then make all of these silver. Chrome or metallic? That works. And then pretty neat here, we're kind of just going to go with an easier shoulder design for this one, because I think that it'll fit. I'm just going to put those there, and then I can round out the inner side more a bit. I'm going to put a rounded 1x2 there, and then... Where is it? I can just put wedges here. I fully can just do that. So I'm going to. And then duplicate that over to here. I could use mirror mode. I don't like mirror mode as much. It gets pretty buggy sometimes. So I don't use it usually. And then for the arms, which I did move down by a block, and then I filled out the lower torso a little bit more, we're going to add a rotating servo and a rotating servo here. This is going to allow us to, like, rotate the elbows at all, so that we can basically move anything in a dimension that we want that is semi-realistic. So that's cool. So I've gone ahead and filled out the bicep a little bit more, and then I have put another servo here, and this is going to lead to the general, like, little forearm section. Well, maybe just, like, the hand portion. Like, and the hand and wrist portion a little bit, because we have the general shoulder and kind of, like, bicep section. And now we have a forearm section. Yeah, so it makes sense that next would be the wrist and hands. Okay, so I made a hand that is partially closed, and then we can make it hold a whip of sorts. Do I need that? I don't. Cool. So now we can have that hold the whip. I don't know how I feel about the thumb. It's so bulky compared to the finger. Oh, I could just do that. And then, It is a skeleton hand, kind of. We can put a tube in there. And then, because I did all that on one side, I'm just gonna duplicate this over. It should flip everything. Yep, looks like it worked. Okay, so I have this arm done. I modified the hand a little bit. I just made it extended using these cylinders. The paint I'm actually using for the bone is a weathered, like, double white. And I actually think it doesn't look that bad. And then for the head, because we only really need 90 degrees of rotation, and also because I built odd width and I don't know how to fix this otherwise, we're just going to put a little thing back here. Oh, just a little lip up. We're actually going to delete this so that I can do that. And then move this over to here. And just because we can, pop this right here. And then we can put a hinge on this. And then work from the head. Like, work on the head from here. So, little tip that I've learned while building is that if I'm gonna build a portion of the build that is all a one color, I should have done this for the hands if I was gonna move on to that next, but I can make it, like, the preset using this little button. And because of that button, we can make it really easily change, and then I can use this preset, and then every block I place down is just going to be the right color, and I don't need to worry about painting it after. And then for the general head shape, I want to make it... Well, I'm going to connect it to the piston after, but I want to make it kind of like this, like that. I think that's how skulls generally look. They have rounded out chin. And then... Because I want teeth. Decoration... Because I can just put teeth in. The teeth are actually a little bit different, though. Because they, one, can go back. I'm actually just gonna make this black. Oh, the black weathered is kind of nice. So we can have that shape there. We have to connect this somehow. That's kind of hard to work with the spikes. Oh, I know, I can just put this like that, and then it's just more of the head shape. I do have disconnected blocks. I can connect those using that. And then by just connecting the jaw upward, because that's kind of what the jaw does. You see, this is going to be way too big of a skull. I do think so. So I think just 2 teeth. Delete that. This can be like this. And then... Why did I use a 1x2 here? Why did I do that? And then we can connect this up. But for something I want to do for the nose is connect it like this. And then decal to paint a circle in this black. Like so. That looks good. And then, you know what? I don't think that that's the good shape for that. So I've done a little bit of work on the skull, and I want to clip in flamethrowers like that. And then I'm probably going to decal them to... You know what? I'm just going to move this out of the way, and then decal it. You know, let's just go white. We can just do white. It'll work. Kinda. Oh, I also wanted to paint these orange if I could. Oh, right, these can be glass. So I'm gonna paint it orange glass. And then... Oh, wow, that decal got a lot. Oh, wow, the way that the decals work is fascinating, because it puts it on every surface, even if you can't see it. Huh. Okay. And then I'm going to, not tint block, remove the decal. And then it is this. Delete this one. Duplicate this over. Yeah, then you can barely see it. But if I decal these eyes in here, then I think you'll be able to better. And then I think it's about time that I find a place to put gyros in this, because I have not at all worked on that, and it's becoming a problem. I just found a panel here I can replace with this, and it adds the third spike, and I think that's really funny. Okay, so after some work, I got something that I like. It can turn, it has teeth, and it can shoot flames out of its eyes. So that's pretty cool. It works just basically, it's piston glitching it into there. There's some clear flamethrowers in there, there's some blocks. It's just general shaping. There's panels here to be the back of the mouth, which you can barely see in there, but it works. There's more teeth. I kind of want to rearrange these back two, though. Not those back two. These two, because these are the ones that become the back two. Yeah, so now those are on the side. And now we can shoot flames out of the eyes. Okay, now I have to work on the legs. Oh, also a little tip, if you already have a block of the selected paint that you want, you can go to it and also use that thing, and then you don't even have to paint it the first time. You can just select that, and then you'll be, like, really just efficient with painting stuff. I then want some wedges here, and here... And then it looks a little bit funny in build mode. It looks a little bit funny out of build mode too, but you know what? I think that this is not too bad. Okay, so we're going to... I placed a block here, and now we can put servos off of both of those. And... blocks here. Nope, that can't be that. That looks way skinnier than I wanted it to. That can be there, and that can be there. And then we can have a few blocks going down. I don't think we need, like, too bulky of legs, but I will try to do some detailing on this, because I think there's motorcycle pads and stuff on the Ghostrider, not suit, clothes? So, like, this is about where I'm going to put the knee, so I can go like that, go like that. Now we have little pads there. For the knee, we're just going to do the exact same thing as this, and then like that. Except, I want to do them on the outside, because on the inside we have one block of room, which works when we're both anchoring from the same thing, but when I'm going to two different legs, we want them on the outside. And then after that, it's probably just going to be another... that or so? Yeah, I think that works out. We will make the calf a little bit bigger here. We can do that with a block there. Yep, and then because these are rounded wedges, they're not connected to this. But I am going to have to make this calf a little bit shorter than I wanted to, because I don't want to connect it. Or I can just make these inward. That also works. I like that idea. And then the calves work out. The thigh has basically nothing on it, so I'm just gonna fill that out a little bit too. I think this one's gonna be, like, just some blocks. Delete that. Put some blocks in here. Make this slopes or something. And then color this in the correct color. I think it was... what color is this? Oh, it's that. Okay. I clicked on that once, and then it moved it from here to here, and I don't understand why. Okay. Make that that. And now we can just connect these with a... I like to use the flat eyepieces. I don't have everything on this unlocked, but there are a lot of pieces that are just really quite useful to have. Some of the mirrors can be used for just like an extra little step, because they're flat like that, so you can have it just a little bit further out, and you can use that for detailing, and then put a decal over it to make the mirror part like whatever color you want. In this case, it would be black. But there's just a lot of that kind of thing that you can do. And then I've built some boots, but I realized this is really in line with the bottom of the torso, and it's like 0 hip at all. So I'm actually gonna extend that out by a block, and then just connect them. That's better. That's much better. Okay, so now we can breathe fire. We don't have any other controls that actually work besides the left and right for the head, and the little panels opening. I guess this is technically a control that works, but like that's an unintentional control, so that's not meant to happen. Okay, so now it's time for the logic, and I think what I'm going to do is just put it right in there. Not right in there, but right off of the side of this, because I need 3 logic blocks, usually, to do forwards and reverse. 2 of them are for the timing, and 1 of them is to reverse 1 of them, because I can't have them both going in the same direction each time, but sometimes that's useful, and it's good to have an output that's positive for each, like, circuit of timing. But it is also useful for 1 of them to be negative, so in some walkers, in one walker that I did, in the omnidirectional one, made a video about that, I made 4 logic gates for this, and then both of them could be negative or positive, and then outside of that, it kind of just worked well like that. We're going to start out with a 0.6 timing. This isn't a super fast walker, so like I don't need it to be. So we're not going to make it super fast. Then we're going to hook this into this, and this is going to be, -1. And then here and here. That works out. If I can't see that, but I bet it's gonna work. If I hook this up to these and the -1 up to these, so it's not just going the same way each time. I might want to add some more logic. Sometimes I like making the step back a lower angle, so I have, like, it wired up that way. Why aren't you working? Okay, so you're on negative output. Why does it just stop? It should be going the other direction. Huh. Okay, so we're gonna pull the logic out of there. So it very much should be working. And it's just not, for some reason. Why isn't that working? This is hooked up to them. It's on -1. -1. This isn't hooked up to them. It's only hooked up to this. Why isn't this working then? There's an alternate way to do it, and like I can just hook this up to double. I can delete this, duplicate this, and then set this to negative. But like that's not a good solution. Why wasn't it working before? It works now, but like, why didn't it? Okay, so I lowered the speed, and even without the knees, this is kind of working because the feet are shaped correctly. So like it's. The front of the foot is longer than the back of the foot, which causes it to be higher when the other one's taking a forward step. But I do want to involve the knees. And after the walking's done, all we should have left is the whip and then to program the arms. Okay, so I've hooked up this gate into all of these, and this gate into all of these, so that currently it's going like this. However, it's not walking forwards as efficiently as I would want it to. I, 1, have to add high friction pads, and 2, I have to make these on a duration. I'm gonna try 0.4, so that it'll lift up, go out here, and then it'll extend out and then do it. So it's kind of like a lift up over here, extend out, go down here, lift up over here, extend out and go over here, which is how walking works. Okay, so I got the walking tuned up and working. I just had to adjust the angles, put some suspension in. There's a little bit of sparks, but honestly, it's Ghostrider. There's going to be sparks. And you know what? The pants are usually a slightly different color. So I'm actually going to paint these still black, but I'm going to paint them in glow, so it's actually a slightly different color. And that works out. For this part here, I'm going to just select this because I can. I'm gonna have to change it when I get to the next part anyway. But I can put these in here, and they have the slope, but it's both a slight slope, and 2, doesn't have the connection point on the thing. And also, yes, I did intentionally say A and then 2. I think it's funny. But, yeah, you can use those to like shape things a lot better, because it's not quite a 2x1 slope because it's not as high, but it is very detailed. Okay, on to the whip, kind of. I'm gonna do this in... I'm gonna program the arm first in a way that I think it will work. And then if that fails, I'm going to, like, add the whip and tune it from there. But I think that if we put the whip backwards by doing this and whipping it back, then we can bend the elbow when we like turn it up. Here, let's do this a good 80 degrees for now. Like, it is really just turning the whip back. We can then have on the left click the opposite, kind of, so that we can swing it out. This is the wrong arm. Right here, we can have rotate this way on the left click, and then we can rotate the elbow like that. And, I'm not fully certain how to, like, to basically whip it. Because I have this, and then, is it just... Well, I don't think it can be just that. What happens if we reverse this and go like that? So we go like this, and then we go like that. That might whip. And then I'm going to set these to spacebar, so that way I'm not just constantly doing that. And I can hit space and then shoot flames out of the eyes. But I can go like that, and it should whip it. I am going to add the alternate control to this, however, and then do that. Yeah, and then I can whip it out. That would work. And then to start on the whip, I just made a little handle, and then I can use steering hinges on 0 strength to make part of it, but I don't want all of it to be made out of steering hinges. 1, that would be a ton of complexity, and 2, that's just not very stable, and it's not on fire either. So I'm going to remove the controls from this, remove the strength, remove the steering help. Don't know if doing the steering help does anything when the strength is 0, but you know what, might as well. And then we're actually going to go to decoration and get the sconce. And I'm going to color this metallic that. And then the sconces have a neat little connection point on the side here. So I can fully just put one like that, and then put a different hinge right here, going that way, and then that just works. And then I can duplicate this, flip it around, and then duplicate this whole thing again. And that is just a good whip segment. Oh, we will have to configure all of these, unconfigure that one, and then paint all of these into the color. but that's not too bad. Okay, so if we go like that, if I then right-click, oh, that's a little bit glitchy, and I think I know why. It's because these are colliding with themselves, so I actually do have a way to fix that. We're going to delete that. Delete this too. And then... oh, 1 second. And then we can rotate this to be up. So we won't quite have that, but we'll have 1 hinge per segment, and then this would be rotated by 1. So now we can go up here, rotate by 1. Now we can go down here, rotate by another 1, go over here, and then extend that out. Okay, so I would say that that works really well for some reason. Like, swing it in front of me, swing it to the back. It just works just shockingly well. Like, I can swing it this way, swing it back. Okay. And then I'm gonna set all of these to control on toggle, so that I can turn off the thing. So I can turn off the flames. Just go ahead and repair there, because it seemed to have been a little bit glitched. And now we just have a chain. And it's a decently good-looking chain, because the sconces really do just, like, add the shape to it. So there's not too much that we're limited by here. Alright, well, I think that's going to be it then. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. This is a decently cool mech. And I can enable the flames on the thing, on the torches. I can, like, shoot flames out of my eyes, which is really cool in my opinion. And it's just generally a cool build. Except the part, you know what I forgot? Flames on the head. Forgot to put flames on the head. So we're just gonna duplicate these over here. That's probably gonna work some. I do want more flames, though. So I'm just gonna add some more flames. These can be replaced with flames. More flames. I would kind of want those. Okay. I'm not sure how I want to do this. I'm kind of limited on connection points that work for that. And I'm also kind of limited on large flames. Because, like, we just don't have a ton of options for that in Trailmakers. I guess I could put a flamethrower, but then it would go, like, too far. And it would damage the head. Those those shaping blocks, they don't need to be there. More flames. I'm gonna remove the decal. No, that's probably good enough. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. See ya! Oh, and bonus clip, this is what it looks like from inside the flamethrower, which I think is really cool.